Congress. We've had one of the most productive Congresses in the history.
Mike Johnson completely lost control of his caucus this morning. He had a four-person rebellion. Maybe it'll be even more once this ACA subsidy vote happens, the 3-year extension. Leader Jeffries completely played him, right?
We have 4 Republicans who are willing to vote with us to pass the bill. So we've got the votes. The problem is that Speaker Mike Johnson wants to adjourn the House today.
MAGA Mike is fleeing Washington because he can't get his house in order, to the point that the Murdoch manipulation network can no longer spin it in his favor. But sure, he's not panicking. It's not like he is sending the House home early a day before the Epstein deadline or anything.
And send everybody home. He does not want to act on the bill. He knows we have the votes, and he doesn't seem to care that the American people are suffering.
This week in Washington has been chaotic, to say the least, in the sense that House Speaker Mike Johnson is repeatedly insisting that he's in charge, even as members of his own party openly break ranks and force votes.
Just had some intense fellowship. It's all good. Look, we're working through very complex issues, as we do here all the time. It's good. Everybody's working towards ideas, keeping a productive conversation going. That's what happens.
Have you lost control of the House?
I have not lost control.
Because this is the third time.
There are look, we have the smallest majority in U.S. history. Okay? These are not normal times. There are processes and procedures in the House that are less frequently used when there are larger majorities. And when you have the luxury of having 10 or 15 people who disagree on something, you don't have to deal with it. But when you have a razor-thin margin, as we do,
he's quite literally the live-action version of the "this is fine" meme. But not to worry, the president gave an address to the nation that had Daniel Dale at CNN, their resident fact-checker, working late through the night.
Caitlin, that was a fact check it, half asleep kind of presidential speech. So many of these claims have been debunked so many times. For example, the president said inflation is stopped. As Harry pointed out, it's not stopped. It's 3%. In fact, September, that 3% rate was the 5th consecutive month inflation had increased. The president also said that he inherited the worst inflation. He said some might say in the history of the country. Again, he inherited 3% inflation in January. Even the 9.1% peak of the Biden era in June 2022 was about a 40-year high, not a 48-year high, nowhere close to the all-time high of more than 23%. He spoke of cutting prescription drug prices by 400 to 600%. Those figures are mathematically impossible. If you cut it by more than 100%, people would get paid to get their medications, which of course is not happening.
All distractions aside, earlier this week, 4 Republican lawmakers publicly went against GOP leadership and signed onto a Democrat-led floor petition to force a vote on extending Affordable Care Act subsidies, a vote House leadership had blocked. And Speaker Johnson's response, well, it was to say, I haven't lost control of the House. Why would you ask that? To which hosts over at Fox News disagreed.
That's a very big deal for the administration. There's a big chunk of the base that feels seriously let down by the fact that they were promised Epstein files. They had, influencers with binders, and then nothing, I guess, until Friday when they're allegedly going to come out. I think she's also seeing the fact, looping back to what we were discussing in the first block, that the administration is not as successful as they would like themselves to be. I mean, we didn't note it yet, but Mike Johnson completely lost control of his caucus this morning. He had a 4-person rebellion. Maybe it'll be even more once this ACA subsidy vote happens, the 3-year extension. Leader Jeffries completely played him, right? He didn't go for any of the discharge petitions, the Fitzpatrick bill. He said, I'm going to wait it out for my 3-year extension. And then he got Fitzpatrick, Lawler, et cetera, to fold and to come over to his side. And now there's going to be a vote. I don't know what Senator Thune
I'm not sure anybody knows anything of what you just
said.
I mean, I do, but I mean, it's like pretty.
Well, here, I'll just make it clear. Leader Johnson is not in control of his caucus.
Okay.
Susie Wiles is telegraphing something about how well the administration is doing by going on the record 11 times.
And after this, right, what does MAGA Mike then do? At a time when healthcare costs are about to spike for millions if no action is taken, he sends the House home the day before the Justice Department is supposed to release the Epstein files in full. Yet again, this looks like another instance of Johnson doing every little thing that he can to either delay the release of the files or to make it so that fellow GOPers don't have to be in town to answer to their complicity in this months-long campaign to avoid their release, as he did by egregiously delaying the swearing in of Democratic Representative Adelita Gravala.
You said last week that you would swear in Adelita Gravala whenever she wants. She's written a letter to your office. You've not sworn her in.
Yeah.
I understand about pro forma sessions.
Yes.
Doesn't your resistance to not swear her in add fuel to the fire that this is about the Epstein?
No. Let's talk about Grahala and Epstein. Okay. Once more for everybody. Everybody in Congress, I think, is for maximum transparency of the Epstein files. That is underway right now. Let me point out before I go forward further, all of the files were in the possession of the Biden-Harris Department of Justice for 4 years. Every single thing that we're talking about right now was in their sole possession. They could have released it. They could have done anything. Ro Khanna, all the Democrats who are jumping up and down making noise about this, didn't say a peep about it for 4 years. I don't know why. But this is another partisan manufactured thing. Is it a serious problem? Yes. I have sat with the victims, some of the ladies who bravely have come forward and talked about the horrors that they sustained because of traffickers on Epstein Island and all the things he was involved in. Everybody involved in that should have the full weight of justice descend upon their head. And we're all for that. We want every single person who had anything to do with that to be exposed.
Any reaction to Leader Thune, seeing the bill without adding amendments or changing it?
I'm deeply disappointed in this outcome. I think, I've been at the state dinner. I don't know. I was just told that Chuck Schumer rushed it to the floor and put it out there preemptively. It needed amendments. I just spoke to the president about that. We'll see what happens.
So now, I know that's a lot, right? But let's take stock for a moment. You've got a House Speaker insisting that he's in control while GOP lawmakers publicly defy him over and over again over major policy issues, meaning you have Republicans unable to cohere around a unified healthcare plan, fitting considering their leader has said he's had a plan for almost a decade now.
Government reopened tonight. Would Republicans have a plan to address the Obamacare subsidies?
Yes. Yes.
You would have a plan
we
tonight.
have proposals to, we could have that ready immediately. Yes.
Well, it has been more than a month since that interview, and still there is no plan. Remember this moment, late John McCain and his famous thumbs down that killed the Republican replacement to Obamacare. That was 8 years ago. That means Republicans had 8 years to come up with an alternative, and still there's nothing. So after that McCain moment, Trump tweeted that lawmakers should let Obamacare implode, and then they'll be forced to create a new plan. And earlier this month, he posted that Obamacare, quote, sucks. But it turns out that the centerpiece of the Trump plan is to extend the Obamacare subsidies. Well, that's something that Democrats had demanded during the shutdown.
But sure, this is the party that's going to lead America into the golden age. I mean, why else would Mike Johnson send the House home early, right? If not to ensure that Republicans are out of DC so that they can't protect healthcare and that they won't be around when the Epstein files are or are not released.
Thank you, Mr. Neal. A constituent in my district in Middletown is going to be paying more for health insurance than he does for his mortgage. Let's cut right to the chase. This is about a vote. The American people, this great democracy that we live in, this once chamber that could actually discuss and debate issues, Speaker Johnson should be bringing this bill to the floor today. Do you have the courage to vote, or are you going to run and hide? You have 4 of you who stood up and said, you know what, in a democracy, this deserves a vote. Listen carefully, American people, how they decry this bill, and yet they won't even have a vote.
This Republican Party have spent more time delaying, running, shutting down the government than they have passing any notable legislation, helmed, of course, by a woefully incompetent administration. And the thing is, the American people are very well aware of this fact, hence why Mike Johnson's getting ripped on air by his own Republican constituents.
You have the power to do that. And as a Republican, I'm very disappointed in my party, and I'm very disappointed in you, because you do have the power to call the House back. You did that, or you refused to do that just for a show.
Hence why poll after poll shows that even once staunch MAGA members are heading for the exits.
Okay, you know what, Donald Trump, I'm going to borrow a quote from my favorite Rocky film, Rocky IV. He's not a machine. He's not a machine. He's a man. He's a man. And what are we talking about here? Strongly approve of Donald Trump. Okay, this is 2024 Trump voters. In March, it was 66%. Look at where we are now. It's just 50% of 2024 Trump voters strongly approve of him.
That same Fox News network that often do backflips to excuse the president and the Republican Party of any wrongdoing are showing the results of their own polls.
Fox polling shows that voters are still not happy with the economy under President Trump. 72% say national economic conditions are not good or are in poor condition.
He focused on the economy, and maybe he will weave in some foreign policy too after that blockade of sanctioned oil tankers off of Venezuela.
That's a big deal.
Yeah.
Look at this, got a new poll, and it shows that Trump's approval rating is down to 39%, down 2 points from earlier this month.
And it's not looking good for the president or, in turn, MAGA Mike Johnson.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today. You can also gift memberships to others. Let's keep growing together.